What's happening, everybody? Avery, Braxton here for ABC 24 and the 24th floor, doing a little bit of a daily update for you as we get ready for the Grizzlies, who are going to be in the play-in tournament we have finally established, although it looked like it might have been going in that direction for quite a while. So we'll get into that as well as what the playoff matchup will look like. We'll talk a little bit about yesterday and their game with the Dallas Mavericks that really included really the back into the bench rotation and a lot of those two-way players and G League guys, but they had themselves a good time. Talk a little bit about the wider picture, the grander picture of the Grizzlies and the NBA playoffs, and then we will talk a little bit about the Memphis Tigers and quick little mention of the showboat. So let's start with the Memphis Grizzlies. They did have a game yesterday before we jump into the play-in discussion. Had a chance. They beat the Dallas Mavericks 132-97, and I'd say this was a pretty fun game, about as fun as you can have, and the only really bright spot that we've had in the last few weeks as the Grizzlies have been on a collision course with the play-in tournament. But you got to love what the back end of the rotation guys were able to do. Memphis did not play any of their starters, really didn't play any of their regular bench guys, looking for rest because it was kind of a meaningless game. No 7 seed. Really, if you move into the 7 seed, you do get the home game. But the scenarios, if you were familiar with them, really did not favor the Grizzlies. I think there was only 4 scenarios out of a lot where they would have been the 7th seed. So they opted to rest everybody. They settled for the 8th seed, which means you get the Yuki Kawamura show, Yuki Kawamura and friends, if you will. Really a fun game for a lot of these guys who have been working really hard. Shout out to Twomasi Salo, the interim head coach, talking about what these guys have been just doing, working in play groups, being prepared, being ready for an opportunity like this because you never know when it's going to come. 31 points from Lamar Stevens, who played 35 minutes. You got 25 from Marvin Bagley, 23 from Cam Spencer. J Huff gave you 22, and Yuki Kawamura, of course, gave you 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists off the bench. And Yuki probably was gave you the best play of the day. Just steals the ball, throws it behind his head, no look to Marvin Bagley, in stride, called that a touchdown, ended up with a dunk. Really cool moment for him and for the rest of those Grizzlies on the back end of the rotation. But all that really did was give Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., and the rest of the regular starters and bench guys a chance to rest. We find out after all the games had finished on Sunday that the Grizzlies will be the 8th seed. They will be locked into the play-in, and they will play none other than who else? The Golden State Warriors. Now, of course, we know what the history of these two teams looks like over the last several years. Memphis knocked Golden State out of the NBA play-in tournament back in 2021. And then, of course, the Warriors play the Grizzlies the following year, beat them in 2022. So, you know, there's going to be some beef and some history there. Grizzlies so far this year, 1-3 against the Warriors. And, of course, we know what happened the last time the Warriors took on the Grizzlies here in Memphis in FedEx Forum. Steph Curry had just had a sensational masterpiece kind of game, 52 points, one of the best games you've ever seen and that I've ever seen in person, at least. Just kind of watching him do his thing. But I think you had to have a little bit of optimism because while Steph did explode for that 52-point performance, he also had some of his worst performances of the season against the Grizzlies this year. 2-point performance and a 13-point performance. And, of course, those games were when the team did have Jalen Wells, who we know now has a broken wrist and is likely, quote-unquote, likely to miss the rest of the postseason. This game will also be on the road where the Grizzlies have not fared well, particularly in California. They are 0-8 in California road games between playing, of course, the LA Clippers, the LA Lakers, the Sacramento Kings, and the Golden State Warriors. So does not, the stats don't bode well in that direction. But certainly the Grizzlies are going to give it their best shot, and we'll go down swinging if they go down at all, because they are playing for something, and that is the 7 seed. You win this game against the Warriors, you do snag that 7 seed, and you'll play the Houston Rockets, who are the 2 seed in the playoffs thus far. If you lose, you're talking about the Grizzlies taking on either the Sacramento Kings or the Dallas Mavericks, who are playing in that 9 and 10 game. If end up with that second game, or really the third game of the play-in, you'll play that on Friday, and you will have home court advantage, and you'll be able to play that game in FedEx Forum. So certainly a couple of scenarios, a few things to play through. Memphis is the underdog against the Golden State Warriors, but they would be likely the favorite against two teams in Sacramento and Dallas, who really just haven't had the best of seasons. And if we're being honest, if they're not the players or the coaches, they're probably playing the tank and going trying to be better in terms of the 2025 NBA draft, which will be this summer. And if you're a fan of the Grizzlies, I can see some scenarios. I see some fans, some of that chatter, that kind of thing, where they want the Grizzlies to kind of flame out here towards the end, because the 2025 draft pick for the Grizz this year is lottery protected. So if they fall in 1 through 14, they will have their first round draft pick. If it ends up being 15 through 30, that pick goes to the Washington Wizards. So if you're being realistic, if you're thinking about the long-term future of the Grizz, I can see a world where you kind of want them to flame out here in the season in 84 games, as opposed to potentially maybe losing to the Golden State Warriors, beating the 9 or 10 seed, and then you're playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. We know how good the Oklahoma City Thunder have been thus far this season. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been simply sensational, and he'll have something to say about the MVP this season. Let's kind of look at the rest of the playoffs thus far. As you mentioned, Oklahoma City will be the 1 seed. I think they're 64-12 this year. What they've done has just been incredible. They will have the winner of whoever wins Game 3 of the NBA play-in tournament. You got your Denver Nuggets and the LA Clippers, who are the 4 and the 5 seeds. You've got the LA Lakers, who are the 3 seed. Timberwolves take on the 6 seed, so they'll play each other. And then the Rockets are the 2 seed. They will get the winners of Golden State and Memphis on Tuesday. On the east side of things, you're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are the 1 seed over there. The Celtics are the 2 seed. They'll get the winners of either the Magic or the Atlanta Hawks in that 7-8 game of the NBA play-in. You're talking about the Pacers and the Bucks as the 4 and the 5s. The New York Knicks are the 3. They'll take on the Detroit Pistons in the 6 seed. In the East play-in, you've got the Bulls and the Heat, who are the 9 and 10. And the Magic are the 7 seed. The Hawks are the 8th seed. So that is what the NBA playoffs look like. We'll see what the Grizzlies are able to do. Will they snag a win on the road, their first win in California this year, and get a date with the Houston Rockets, who they haven't played phenomenal against, but you certainly would rather face the Rockets than you would the Oklahoma City Thunder? Or will they take on the Oklahoma City Thunder? You got to hope they get out of the play-in if you are a Grizzlies fan so far this year. And let's kind of talk about the grander picture of things so far for Memphis, because you started off so well. And I think a lot of fans will say, well, they were second in the West for so long. What happened? You think you got to kind of look at the schedule. They got the benefit of the doubt with the schedule early on in the season. Their opponents weren't as good as the back half of the year. So you get to the All-Star break, right? You're 36-18. You're second in the West. You're feeling good. And I think that gave a lot of folks a false sense of security. And what ends up happening is you get out of the All-Star break and you finish 12-16. The Grizzlies were also a really good defensive team in the first half of the year. They fall off a cliff in the second half of the year. They were talking about being a top 10 team in the first half, a bottom 10 team, say that 5 times fast, in the second half of the year, especially kind of after that All-Star break, and really since more so the beginning of February. You're also talking about a team that's kind of made some missteps, some miscues when it comes to the roster construction. After the trade deadline, where you get rid of Jake LaRavia, you send him to Sacramento, you get rid of a Marcus Smart, you send him to Washington, you didn't get better after the All-Star break. You sold at the All-Star break, or at the trade deadline, and what you did was you also gave up 2 of your better defenders. Neither one of them were playing the best offensively. I'm not saying anybody's boohoo crying over the loss of Marcus Smart or Jake LaRavia, but they did give you some depth, which we are finding is crucial here down the stretch, as you've had some injuries to Brandon Clark, to Jalen Wells, and they also were 2 of your better defenders on a team that really has not played well defensively, especially here in the back half of the year. These players and these coaches, they're going to play to win. here in the NBA play-in tournament. They got something to play for as far as their pride and everything that you, as a competitor, you just want to be in that NBA playoff conversation, regardless of what happens. You can't have a positive outcome if you're not there in the first place. So you got to think about Tuomas Isalo, of course, who is coaching rather, to get that interim tag removed. He wants to be the head coach of the future, whether he says so or not. We've talked to him, we've asked him about it. Well, I'm just thinking about the next game at a time, one game at a time. And of course, that is the right mentality, but he's playing for a head coaching position. So expect them to kind of go out swinging here as the playoffs and the play-in loom here. So the Grizzlies take on the Warriors. That'll be on Tuesday in San Francisco. You can watch that game on TNT. Let's talk about a little bit more Memphis relevant news. Ashton Hardaway, the son of Penny Hardaway, who of course is the head coach of the Memphis Tigers basketball team, has committed to Memphis. He entered the transfer portal after a year with the St. Mary's Gales. If you guys who haven't been paying attention, or maybe you're new to Memphis and getting associated with Memphis sports, Ashton Hardaway is a California native. Grew up on that side of the country on the West Coast, but is the son of Penny Hardaway. He was a 4-star commit to the Tigers back in 2023. Played that 23-24 season that ended up being kind of disastrous, but had a chance to play with his dad, had a chance to play with his big brother as well, and decided after that season, in a season that really fell apart and where he had maybe more of a minor role than he might have expected, has decided to hit into the transfer portal that year. Played one season with St. Mary's Gales, averaged about the same numbers, somewhere around 2 points, a board, but still a pretty phenomenal shooter from three when he gets the opportunity. He's pretty lights out. So we'll see what he's able to do with that St. Mary's team. That was a team that was really good this year, just phenomenal. Ended up getting a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament after they won the Western Coast Conference, or the West Coast Conference out west, which is the same conference that Gonzaga plays in, and we know how good they are year in and year out. Not necessarily their year this year, and so St. Mary's took advantage, but really didn't play a ton, didn't maybe have the numbers that maybe he was hoping the jump that he would have playing out west, and maybe in a scenario where he wasn't in the spotlight under his dad here in Memphis, and a team that's going to be really scrutinized each and every year. Decided to take his plans out west. Didn't work out, so he's coming back. And he's grown to 6'9" now. You're hoping he's got some of that lateral quickness that allows him to play the three and defend some of those threes. But at 6'9", you're talking about somebody who maybe can bang in the post a little bit, although the numbers haven't quite eked that out thus far. But I'm sure Penny Hardaway is ecstatic to kind of have his son back in the fold and being able to coach him just like he did with Ashton and Jaden a couple of years ago. He'll get at least one more season, as Ashton will be a junior entering this year. What does that mean for the rest of the roster as far as the Memphis Tigers go? PJ Haggerty is no doubt your star, the guy that you're waiting on, a second-team All-American, consensus All-American this season. Still waiting to see what he's going to do as far as the transfer portal goes. Whether he will enter, whether he'll test the NBA draft waters. Although if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably more looking back at coming back to college for another year and seeing what kind of bag he can get. And let's make no mistake, he deserves a bag for the season that he had. Was a top 10, top 5, I believe, scorer in the country this year. Also was a guy who could play on ball, a guy who could play off ball. But you're waiting to see what he's going to do. And my sources say that he's going to command somewhere between $2 and $3 million as far as what it takes to potentially keep him, or what other teams may offer to bring a guy like that, a prolific scorer especially like that, get him into the transfer portal, maybe get him into a bigger conference. You're talking about the SEC, the Big 12, the Big 10, something like that. The rest of the roster, Dane Danger played his last year, or expected to play his last year this past season, right? He looked like an All-American down the stretch, especially once you got into the AAC tournament and really in that first game in the NCAA tournament that the Tigers had a double-double. He's waiting reportedly on a waiver from the NCAA. Still don't know the status of what that looks like, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Wouldn't count on it. You'll get Dante Harris back, the guard who was really kind of the backup point guard for Tyrese Hunter this year. And then you get Boone Akibi, who didn't play a whole lot, if at all, this season, but he's still a scholarship player that'll be on the roster and hasn't entered the transfer portal yet. You'll also get Daniel Vieira-Tuck, 6'4" guard, played for Overtime Elite, has also played and spent some time overseas. Don't know what kind of real game he'll be able to bring, but he'll be a body that's on the roster. Felipe Patino, who is another 6'4" guard, went to Eastern Florida State College, which is a junior college, so he's a JUCO transfer. Penny's had middling success, some of that this past year. I think a lot of folks will remember what that 23-24 team looked like, and it had some of those guys on there who ended up transferring out, right? But Patino, 9.5 points, 4.3 rebounds, 47% from three on the JUCO level. And what I'll tell you about really any team, they're always looking for snipers. So we'll see what Felipe is able to do. As far as who's transferred out, Jared Harris, the 4-star freshman out of Texas, didn't play too much this year. He transferred out. Baraka Okoji, who was another secondary guard, he's out. PJ Carter was another 3-point sniper alongside Colby Rogers this year. He's out. Demarion Yates is also out. Yates, better known as Dink, who is a Memphis area, Shelby County area, Mid-South native, played his high school ball at Fayette Ware High School. So a lot of work to do still for Penny Hardaway, a lot of things to figure out. And I'm sure if you're Penny, a lot of that hinges on what PJ Haggerty decides to do. If he's going to get any more, really high caliber guards, I can see a world where you don't necessarily want to play next alongside PJ Haggerty if you're expecting the ball a lot yourself. And one guy that I did leave out, Quante Berry, who is a transfer from Temple. Probably I would assume he would be the starting guard alongside PJ Haggerty if he was to return. But we know a little something about Penny Hardaway. He loves pinching and pilfering from around the AAC and some of those best players. But so far, that's the only one that he's gotten thus far. One other note, the Memphis Showboats played this weekend on Saturday. Took another L. They are now 0-3. Lost 18-17 to the Houston Roughnecks. Had a chance to win it. Had a chance to come back. They fell behind 18-11 early on. Troy Williams, quarterback, steps in for E.J. Perry. Perry threw 2 interceptions. Head coach Ken Wisenhunt decides to make a change, go in a different direction. Williams took him a little while to get his train rolling as well, but eventually leads a 19-play, 70-yard drive in the fourth. That ends with a touchdown. So you talk about the score being 18-17, and Ken Wisenhunt showing the big cojones, opts to go for the win. The 2-point conversion with just 13 seconds left, right? So it's going to be really hard in that scenario for the Houston Roughnecks to come back and win the game with just that amount of time. Goes for the 2-point conversion, ends up being no good. They would challenge it. Challenge doesn't go their way. Pass sails over the head of Kwame Lassiter. So then the Showboats have to go for the rules of the UFL are different than the NFL, of course. So in the UFL, you don't necessarily have to do an onside kick. You can go for it 4th and 12, I believe from your own side of the field, and that's what Memphis opts to do. They go for it. They end up getting a penalty, so that they convert the 4th and 12 on a penalty, but then I believe it was the next play, they opt for kind of the pass into the lateral attempts, and that didn't go so well. They end up fumbling the ball. Houston recovers. They win the game. And so that's kind of how things ended for the Memphis Showboats this weekend. 0-3 thus far. They will play the Michigan Panthers on Friday this week. So just a little bit of an update for you on things going on around the Mid-South and in Memphis this weekend. The baseball team, Memphis Tigers baseball team, will take on Ole Miss on Tuesday. That game at 6:05 in the afternoon if you are interested in that. And, of course, spring practice still rolls on for the Memphis Tigers. We'll have a chance to speak to some players and coaches tomorrow being Tuesday and Thursday. But that's all I got for you here on this quick little daily update edition of the 24th floor. Appreciate you guys hanging with us. And doesn't the studio space look good? I mean, I know I'm kind of rolling over here solo, and this has been kind of quick, but we are in the new space. This is the Michael Morrison Memorial Studio, kind of more of a podcast level space. We're going to be doing some really cool things in here, but we dedicated it this past weekend to our guy, Michael Morrison, who was a visual storyteller, photographer at this station for a long time. Sensational guy, really kind guy, really knew his stuff, and somebody that we miss quite a bit as he passed away a couple of years ago. So this is a space you might see me in more as we talk about the 24th floor and what kind of happens with it next. You might see some of my other colleagues talk about Trevor Burchett and Kit Thomas on the weather side. Maybe some of my anchor friends will pop in here, and maybe we'll have some really cool conversations with that other mic over there as we continue to use this space and explore what it allows us to do. That's been the 24th floor here on Monday, April the 14th. Appreciate you guys hanging with us, and I will see you later.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 24 Plus app everywhere you stream.